had to do a video on dark academia looking like this, I don't think that's legally allowed. Much better. Hey friends, it's Hawk. Today, first of all, I want to apologize for the glare of my glasses, but it's necessary for the aesthetic, which is one of my favorite things in the world, dark academia. This is kind of a new series I'm starting, potentially, where I take an aesthetic. This one is easier because it's also sort of a subgenre of literature, but where I take an aesthetic and sort of read based on that aesthetic and do things based on that aesthetic. So if that's something you guys like, let me know, because I think it's really fun. I was really excited to film this video, and I'm still really excited because I haven't really done anything for it yet. First and foremost, I just want to address, I know there's a lot of problems with dark academia, like significant problems, most of them being the lack of diversity. Rich, cis, white men is the cornerstone. They have, you know, monopolize the market on dark academia for the most part, and I want to say that I acknowledge that. It's totally true. You guys are right. There's a lot of problematic elements. However, not even however, yeah, point blank, there's a lot of problematic elements. But the thing that I like about dark academia is what I believe is sort of the backbone idea of it, especially as it has been retaken by people in the real world, is the idea of learning for learning's sake. So learning because you enjoy learning, reading because you enjoy reading, and because you want to gather new ideas and to be more intellectually challenged. However, that does not take away the classist and elitist and a lot of times racist, just ignoring the fact that anyone exists other than rich people. That's an issue. You're valid for being mad about that. 100%. I'm also mad about it, but I'm hoping as we move away from the structure before, which was only white rich men got to go to any sort of private school or college, as we move away from that, I'm hoping we'll move towards a more diverse dark academia community. That's my hope anyway. So first let's talk about the dark academia aesthetic and the dark academia community that exists outside of the sort of subgenre of dark academia itself. So first and foremost, what you wear in dark academia is generally turtlenecks, plaid, oversized blazers, Oxfords, anything that makes you look like you just stepped out of like Oxford in the 1920s. That's kind of the vibe that you're going for. Activities tend to be centered around academically based things. So going to museums, going to, you know, bookstores, especially old bookstores, used bookstores, reading all the time, learning dead languages, learning all languages, but I say dead languages in particular because it sort of hits on that market of, you know, learning for the sake of learning because no one's gonna speak to you in Latin. But yeah, a lot of it has to do with learning and looking learned. So dressing like you go to a private school or you go to like Oxford or whatever the fuck. That's generally what it's about. In terms of the subgenre, I would say dark academia books tend to have three main things. The first and the most important being that either it takes place in a private school setting or a university setting. The next thing in the dark academia genre that is most important is a sort of tight-knit friend group and or tight-knit friends or a secret society of some kind. So any sort of group or pair of people that are really close for one reason or another. One reason being that they're like friends, the other being that they are part of a secret society. The last important aspect of dark academia is death, murder, dark themes, or all of the above. So now that we have the explanations out of the way, let's move on to some examples of books in the dark academia genre. The book that I would say is largely considered to be the official, unofficial book of dark academia is The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which is my favorite book of all time. This has everything that I would consider to be important in dark academia. They're studying a dead language at a private college in New England. New England is a very popular place for these dark academia novels to take place. There is a tight-knit friend group. They are friends from their Greek class, Greek/Latin/classics classes, and there is plenty of murder and just sort of becoming unhinged, which is another thing that is very popular in these dark academia novels. A book about dark academia in the sciences, you may be shocked to know, is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So it does qualify by many standards to be a dark academia book. I don't know if I would say that it is wholly dark academia. I think if it took place entirely at their college, it would definitely be more dark academia, but because it's about two boys in grad school who are trying to sort of induce these superpowers, I would say that it's dark academia. There's murder, there's close friendship groups, or close friendship ties. So on to the books that I will be reading for this video. The first is, I would say, the second most popular example of dark academia, and it is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I've been waiting to read this for this video, and I'm so freaking excited to read it. But it is about these college students who are studying Shakespeare, and I guess they get too into their role and a murder happens. I don't really know fully, but I'm super excited to read this. I've heard nothing but great things about this, and if it's anything like, I don't want to say if it's anything like The Secret History, I'll like it, because I've thought that before and it's bit me in the ass, but I have a really good feeling about this book, and I think it will become a new favorite. I'm hoping that it will become a new favorite, yes. And the other book that I will be reading is Black Chalk by Christopher Yates. It takes place in Oxford, and these students play a game, and it ends in murder. I've just seen it on lists of dark academia books, so I am going to give it a shot. I haven't heard anything either way about whether people like this or not, so I could hate it, I could love it, we'll see. So now that I've given you some examples of dark academia books, I want to give you some examples of books that are important to dark academia but don't necessarily fit the bill themselves. Also, not necessarily these books exactly, but just general genres or types of books that are generally important to dark academia. It'll make more sense when I tell you. So the first is any poetry book. This is Yates. Yates is popular. I would say Keats is also popular. Shelley, all of the romantics are popular. Any of the beat poets are also really loved in the community, hence I feel like this outfit is very beatnik of me. Another is any sort of book that is in the classics community, so anything by Homer, Virgil, Ovid. People love the classics. And so finally, the book that I will be reading, which I wanted to read because I'm sort of trying to also live the dark academia lifestyle while also reading dark academia. It is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is so important to the dark academia community. People eat Oscar Wilde up in the dark academia community. I've already read it, but it's one of my favorites. I just haven't read it in a while, so I was like, this is a perfect time to reread it, because this is truly like one of the biggest books in the dark academia community. I keep saying dark academia community. You guys should take a shot every time I do it, if you're of age and you're in a safe place. So for this Living the Aesthetic Challenge Dark Academia Edition, these are the books that I will be reading. I will also be hopefully going to an art museum tomorrow to, again, live my best dark academia life. Let's get started. Hello, so it is the next day. I have finished Act 1 of If We Were Villains. First of all, thank you, truck. Liking it even more than when I last checked in, so that's great. But I thought that I could take a little break and go do a dark academia activity, which is go to an art museum. So I'm gonna do that, but first I wanted to show you my fit, because Camilla McCulkey who, Henry Winter who, you truly love to see it.
Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, mais juré pour la vie.
Hey, The glare on my glasses while I was filming was annoying me, so I pushed them up. They're right there. Anyway, I had fun at the art museum. It was great. There were a lot of screaming children, unfortunately, because of school trips and such, which... never better birth control. I love kids, but screaming kids in a museum was truly not it for me. I should not have read this first. How could any book ever compete? Any book on this list. Okay, let's just talk about it. I loved this. It's unlike any book that I've read since The Secret History. It gave me as close to the feelings that I get from The Secret History as possible. And it was something, like, I really like classics, but I don't actually know Greek. I don't actually know Latin. I've never studied it in school. So this, as an English major and someone who's performed in theater, has given me much more of, like, feelings that I can relate to. I'm not this deep in theater. I don't think anyone is. I hope not. At the beginning, I was like, this is good. Like, it's good. I'm enjoying it, but it's not, like, getting me. The deeper I got, by the halfway point, I was, like, ready to already declare this a favorite. And lo and behold, it continued to astound, to make me really happy. The only thing I will say, the beginning with the murder that took place, I feel like it happened really quickly. Like, there wasn't a lot of build up to it. I don't want to compare to The Secret History, but because it's so often compared, I will. There's a lot more build up to the murder in that book and a lot more establishing of relationships, and I think that would have served this book a lot better. I think it could have done with like 100 more pages, just explaining the beginning. And also, I feel like the twist was like not a twist. There was a different twist, I guess, that was more twisty than like finding out the details surrounding the murder. I don't think that any of that came as a surprise to me, and looking at Goodreads reviews, it kind of seems the same for other people, but also that doesn't take away from the story for me. Like, a twist doesn't always have to, like, exist, in my opinion. Like, if you already know what's going on, that's not a hindering thing. Like, I feel like blindsiding the reader completely, especially in this situation, is not helpful or interesting. This was, it was so good, you guys. It's definitely one of my favorite books now. And like I said, I really regret reading it first now because I feel like I'm just gonna be comparing the rest of the books to this, and I don't know if they're gonna be that good. I mean, Picture of Dorian Gray obviously is a different thing, but I'm worried about Black Chalk now because this just blew me away. I think I'm gonna need to take a little break before I move on to reading Black Chalk, but maybe I should read The Picture of Dorian Gray in the middle. Maybe that's the better idea, because then I will have a little palette cleanser that's not necessarily within dark academia. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So yes, I'm gonna read Picture of Dorian Gray next, and I don't think I'm gonna do too many updates in that because I have already read it. I didn't do too many updates with this, but that's because I was too busy reading it. I'm not going to update you too much while I'm reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. I'll probably just update you at the end, and then we will move on to Black Chalk. So I have officially finished The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I realized I had never explained what this book was about because I feel like I just assumed everyone would know what it's about, so let me explain briefly. It's about Dorian Gray, as you might guess, and he is a young man who is just extraordinarily beautiful, and he gets a portrait painted of him, and he is so struck by his own beauty when he sees this portrait, and he becomes really sad about like mortality and stuff, and he's like, if only this painting could stay or be the one that ages and I stay beautiful forever. And he gets his wish and shenanigans ensue. So this book is, in my opinion, one of the most accessible classics. Like, it's a very easy to read classic, and it's a really enjoyable read. I just think it's one of the funniest classics that exists because it's Oscar Wilde. I mean, Oscar Wilde is known for his jokes and his satire and his witty, like, aphorisms, and I just think it's worth reading if you haven't because it's so good. It's compelling because it doesn't, as dark as it is, I would consider it to be Gothic literature. I don't see it like talked about in that sense a lot. Maybe it is in academic circles, but in general I don't see it talked about like that a lot. But for all of its darkness, it is surprisingly light because of the way that Oscar Wilde writes, and I just think his writing style is chef's kiss, sublime. And I'm ready to start my life of hedonism. No offense to Dorian Gray, but I'm different. I would not squander my opportunity to be beautiful forever. This book is really good. 5 stars, love it. If not my favorite classic, one of my top 3 favorite classics. So now I'm going to be moving on to Black Chalk, which I'm using as a tripod, so I cannot show you. I'm great at planning. I'm still really in an If We Were Villains hangover because that book was so good. It is definitely, it's like my favorite book, potentially. I don't know if it knocked out if The Secret History. I'm having warring feelings about it. I don't know why I have to rank things. I can just love things and it's fine. But anyway, it makes me nervous to read Black Chalk because I don't know if it's gonna be as good. I'm gonna try really hard not to compare, but it's really hard to do that. I think you do it unconsciously. Hopefully it's good enough on its own that I don't even need to compare it. I'm only like focused on the story that I'm reading. I'm praying that that's what happens, but you never know. Hopefully it's great. I'm so scared. I'm really genuinely scared. I need to like do some sort of meditation before I start my reading experience. It's not good. It's not very good. And I think that I would think that even if I hadn't read If We Were Villains right before this. So basically, what this book is actually about is about these 6 friends. I'll get on to that later. 6 friends who start this game. The mechanics of the game don't necessarily matter. They don't really explain it. They're just like cards are involved, dice are involved. And when you play it, you either like win, and when you win, you either have to take a lesser dare or no dare at all, or if you really lose bad, you can take up to like 3 bad dares. The whole point is like it's a humiliation game. So you pick dares out of these 3 pots with increasing humiliation factor, and the people who lose obviously have to have worse dares. I don't know if I explained that very well. The point is, this book escalates so fast, and not in terms of like action, it escalates in terms of people's response to things. And like, I get everybody has different things that like embarrasses them, but the dares are so dumb. They're so stupid. And like, some of them are vaguely funny, but the girl, Amelia, she's had to do like really fucking stupid ones. Like, she had to draw like penises on stuff and get caught, and that like broke her. She was like super in her feelings about it. And then she also had to tell the entire class that she had to poop. Wow. Riveting content. And then you have Mark. He was like not loving it the entire time. He was just really, again, in his feelings about it. So he gets this dare where he has to, I don't even know if this is a spoiler. I don't think you guys care. This isn't like a popular book, but if you do, I'm about to spoil some stuff. There's this dude, I think his name is Dorian. Wow, call back to the last book. Dorian is like obsessed with this like trivia game, and you can like win money from it. I guess it's in the pub that they go to. And Mark just had to like continuously give him wrong answers. And that was like Mark's breaking point. He was like losing his mind. And like, I get it, it's not nice to be a dick to someone, but like, of all the things you had to do or will have to do in the future, mind you, they have to put £1,000 security deposit. This takes place in Britain. It is not worth $1,000 to you to like piss this dude off for one night, and he'll get over it. Like, you agreed to the game. I would never do it, but I would never agree to this game. They basically escalate that situation. He's like, I'm leaving and I'm gonna get my money back, just you wait. And it's funny because Amelia was like, we didn't know like what this game would be like. Why can't we just let him like have this one? Because he wanted a veto. And I'm like, bitch, what? How did you not know what this game was gonna be like? So that's problem number 1 that I have. The thing that this plot hinges on, the dares, stupid. Second, the friendships, non-existent. They hate each other so quickly. I feel like the tension is there so fast. And they didn't establish the friend groups very well. They didn't establish individual friendships. They kind of establish Chad and Jolyon, which his name is fucking Jolyon. Jolyun. It doesn't even matter the spelling, but it is Joly. He's like, it's like Julian, but Jolly. I'm like, every time I see that name, I stumble. My brain, like, ugh. Because this is not a fantasy novel. If it's like Kavoth, for some reason that was a lot easier for me to digest than Jolyon. Anyway, Chad and Jolyon, they were kind of established a little more strongly. Jack with them a little bit. Mark definitely not. Amelia definitely not. Dee and Jack kind of, they were not established enough for me to care about the fallout of this game. There was a part too where like they go to Mark's house for Christmas or for New Year's or something. They go to Mark's house and the narrator's like, well, I don't want to tell you that. Why would you be interested in like us just like enjoying each other's company and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because it invests me in the story. Why would I be interested in you building the friendship of the 6 main characters of this book when we're supposed to care when they all turn on each other? I wonder why. I wonder why we would be interested in that. Now let's talk about the shitty characters. I don't mean to get in my feelings about this book, but I'm like so irritated that I've been reading for this long and nothing has happened. So Jolly, none of them are likable. Let's start with that. Chad, not likable. He gets increasingly unlikable as the story goes on. Jolyon, I think we're supposed to care about him. I just truly do not. He's probably the most likable of all the characters because he's like the main character, but do I actually care? No, I don't care. Jack sucks so incredibly. He goes on these monologues just being a dumbass. And I'm like, we don't care. We truly don't care. And I get that part of his character is to be annoying, but have one likable man. Have one likable man. Because Mark also is unlikable because of his shit with, like, he's being such a baby about this game that he agreed to play. He has 0 personality. He has 0 personality beyond being really smart. That's smart. Okay, I need authors to hear me for a second. Smart is not a personality trait. Smart is not a personality trait. Because a lot of these authors I've seen in my time reading think that being smart can be your only personality trait. But it's not. It's not a personality trait. Why is this book making me so mad? Okay, I just want to say another thing really quick. First of all, I will say that I am interested to see what happens. Generous of me. Generous of me. There's this line in here I really have to share. Of course winning is everything. Why else do you think we call ourselves the human race? Bars. Shakespeare who? I've never heard of her. No, but really, that sounds like one of those, you know those like, I'm a businessman Instagrams that are like, say these most ridiculous things? Fodder. This is fodder for them. I really truly feel like a 16-year-old who like thought he was gonna be a CEO wrote this. I don't mean to put offense on my man, Christopher Yates. I know nothing about him, but judging by this book. I'm sorry that I really truly just went on a rant. I will finish it and we'll see how I feel at the end, but I don't know if you can tell. Right now I'm not loving it. We'll soldier on. God, I hope I finish this today. I'm so sick of it. So the murder just happened. Was not game related. The whole point is the game. And it's not related to the game. Sure, there's a bet involved, but this book, let me just finish it so I can have it on my Goodreads challenge, because I don't put books that I don't finish on my Goodreads challenge, so. But I'm not happy about it. I need you to know that. We did it. We did it. We're done with this book. Oh my god, it was bad and it stayed bad. That's my official review. 1 star. I mean, it had, my first 3 books of this month were all 5 stars. So I guess the universe just had to balance it out a little bit, but yeah, that was not good. These characters were never friends. That's my thesis at the end of this book. They were never friends. So yeah, 1 star for this. So that's really it for my dark academia video. I love doing this. Let me just do a final wrap up of the books then, I guess. So the first book that I read is If We Were Villains by Emma Rio. Chef's kiss, chef's kiss. It is a more diverse, not very diverse, mind you, but a more diverse version of The Secret History. It's one of my favorite books now. I gave it 5 stars, absolutely adored it. Just really, really a strong book. I just loved it. Picture Dorian Gray, also 5 stars. Brill, brill, brill on top of brill. I love Oscar Wilde. Loved it. I don't know how I'm going to translate this into other aesthetics, I guess. I have some ideas, but if you have any suggestions for me, please leave them in. Oh my god, did I just have a stroke? If you have any suggestions for me, please leave them down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me if you did. That was really, like I said, really fun, and I look forward to continuing this series and doing the fun ideas that I have. Oh, I'm just so excited. Bye!